Can All right, can you hear me now? I didn't have the right thing selected. All right. And is the chat going here? I'm not seeing anybody. Oh, hang on. Oh, jeez. Here we go. All right. All right. Yeah, I got the audio fixed. Sorry, guys. I was the OBS reset all of my devices. I don't know why, but all right. Here we go. So let me start over. I went to Spokane last weekend. The guys in the Pacific Northwest DX Convention asked Dave WO2X to talk about Node-RED. He's kind of one of the primary contributors to the Node-RED forum, and he was not able to attend, so they called me and asked me to fly up there. So I flew up on Friday night after work and got in. Man, the airline issues are crazy. I booked a flight. I was supposed to get into Spokane around 11:30, and I ended up getting into the airport around 2 a.m. Tried to find an Uber. No Uber. Spokane is not a big location, so I finally found a Lyft. Finally got into the hotel about 3, and the conference started Saturday morning at 8 a.m. So I didn't get much sleep on Friday night. I should have flew in earlier on Friday, but I wasn't thinking. So got into Spokane, and here was. Let me show you the convention schedule. See if I can display this. See that? Yep. Oh yeah, there's the Pixie Cam up there. She's pooped. We just went on for a walk, and of course I didn't get in here fast enough and check all my connections. So that's why you didn't hear me for the first minute and a half. Anyway, here was the schedule. It had a DXing theme that started at 8:30. DXpeditions, an RFI seminar, some most needed DX locations, and then it continued into the afternoon for a contesting theme. We had a history of the Radio Sport Team Championship, that is WRTC. If you don't know what WRTC is, it is like the Olympics of ham radio. Every 4 years, they put 50 stations on the air, and they all have 100-watt radios, and all of the stations are at the same elevation. They have the same antennas. They have the same radios, and they try and make as many contacts as possible on a level playing field. So that's what WRTC is. It is going to be next year in Italy, and then it got postponed in 2022, so it's in 2023 because of COVID. But the next one, I forget where the next one is. I think it might be here in the United States. But anyway, WRTC is a cool thing if you want to look that up. And then Pat talked about how one of the pre-contests for WRTC is IARU. So a bunch of people went over to Italy to figure out how propagation works in Europe to the United States. So they went over there, and he had a presentation. Then what was really cool was the technology theme that kicked off with Brian, W9ADG. He is actually the ex-author of, if anybody in the chat gets the ARRL contest update every 2 weeks, he used to edit that. And he had a really cool presentation about distributed contesting, which basically you work as a multi-op, but you compete from your station, and all of the logs get aggregated into one log, and how to configure N1MN for distributed contesting. So that was a cool presentation, and it parlayed right into my presentation I was at 4 o'clock using Node-RED for station automation and DXing and contesting. So I did my talk. Basically a canned presentation. If you go to my YouTube training series, where is that? It might not be here, but it might be on a live stream that I have. But if you want to know more about Node-RED, here is my playlist on my YouTube channel, all about Raspberry Pi, Node-RED configuration, and how to get started in Node-RED. So Then we had a bar, and then this banquet, this Saturday banquet, Spy Radios and Cryptology. It was awesome. This Ed Schweitzer, W7KOW, he had an Enigma machine. And we went up there, and he put in stuff into the Enigma machine, and then we decoded it on either CW or single sideband and did this whole thing. It was really cool. But he had a really cool presentation about the Enigma machine and the cryptology, about the Nazis and the Americans and how we broke their cryptology, or we broke the code to intercept German communications. So that was kind of cool. And then let's see, what else? Sunday they had a brunch, and then we had some ARL DX updates and remote stations. This guy in Ned Stern's AA7A had a really cool remote station in Arizona. So if you guys don't know where Spokane is, I really didn't know where Spokane was. Here it is. It's on a map, and I thought I was going to be like in the mountains. I was not in the mountains. You couldn't see any mountains, but it's on the western portion of, the eastern portion of Seattle. I'm sorry, not Seattle, Washington. So if you roll into here, so the Centennial Hall, or the Centennial Hotel, was where the conference was. And I didn't get a car. I got an Uber over to the hotel and just kind of walked around downtown. I had a free day on Sunday. But this riverfront park was really cool. Spent some time in this this park over here. So I got some video that I want to show you. Let's see. How do I had the video up. Oh, here we go. Let me bring up the video. So here was the hotel, and pretty much it. It was a nice hotel. And then here is the Sunday speaker, so you can see what that looked like. Amount of people. I think there's about 120 people there, 130 people. And yeah, that's what the banquet hall looked like with the projectors. That was AA7A talking about his remote station. That was Sunday brunch. And then I took a walk out to the Spokane River, and they've got a dam system that they make a few small lakes up and down the river. Let's see. Here's one of the dams. There's no barge traffic or anything like that. I guess you could tube, or I saw some people paddleboarding up and down the river, but not in this area, because this area has got a bunch of falls. So this is the upper falls along the river. And I guess there used to be a great fire of 1889 there. I read that whole plaque. I was testing out a new microphone on the camera, but yeah. And then here is part of the falls, the second falls. So you can see the first falls, or that's the second falls there. And they've got this tram system that you can ride a tram across the falls there. For some odd reason, I couldn't figure out how to get down there. Like, getting down, actually, you can see there's people down there, but I couldn't figure out how to get down there. There was no, pass. I gave up. But the Washington Power Works is there, where they generate electricity off of the Spokane River. That was kind of cool. Walked around there. And then that's the there's the whole roundabout there. And then here is this U.S. Pavilion Expo, and they built this in 1974. And I guess the the World Games were there, or it was either the Olympics or the Goodwill Games. I can't remember what it was. I think it might have been the Goodwill Games that were held here whenever everyone was pissed off at the Olympics, so they held the Goodwill Games. But this was one of the pavilions in one of the expo centers that they built. And this thing lit up at night. And then, so that's all the video I took. Took a lot of video, didn't I? So whenever I was, will it antenna? Yes, it will antenna. I'm sure it will. 45 Auto says, if you want good bespoke boots, go to White's in Spokane. Oh, had no idea. So I tried to figure out, all right, was I going to do a POTA or what was I going to do on Sunday? I had a whole day on Sunday that I was messing around. And I really didn't do much, to tell you the truth. Went to some breweries, got some good food, watched some baseball games. I basically day drank the whole day. I probably went to 5 breweries on Sunday. Well, whenever I was at one of the breweries, I was talking to a guy. He was like, hey, what are you doing here? And I said, oh, I was here for a conference in ham radio. And then we got into discussion about ham radio. And I was talking about POTA. And I said, yeah, I kind of wish that I had somewhere to POTA here because, I'd like to mark Washington off of my list. And he said, oh, well, there's a state park, up here, this Riverside State Park. And I said, yeah, I know about Riverside State Park, but from down here where I'm at, all the way up to the park, if I got an Uber, was going to be like $60. And for me to rent a car was going to be $100. And I'm like, I'm not going to do a POTA for $100. I'm sorry. If I was going to do that, I probably should have went over to Idaho and Montana and made it a whole day. Well, maybe not Montana, but, knock Idaho off of my list. So I decided against it, forgot about it, and he said, oh, well, and I said, there's also the Centennial Trail State Park. And somebody who had know nothing about ham radio, knows nothing about POTA, said, oh, well, the Centennial State Park, Trail State Park, is like right down here in front of your hotel room. And I said, what do you mean? And he said, oh, the trail goes from this part of the Spokane, and it comes all the way down and runs right in front of, along the river, right here on the Spokane River. And I took a look. There's the Spokane Centennial Trail right there. And I'm like, no shit. So I had to figure out how was I going to activate that trail on about 7 beers and with no radio. So what I did was I figured out, I went up here, and about 5 o'clock that night, I went in here and took a look at who had activated the that map looks similar to when you lost your heart. Yeah. I'm not finding any cryptocurrency on this Izzo. So anyway, I came in here and literally just started cold emailing these people who had activated this park previously, thinking maybe I'm going to get lucky and somebody lives in the area and will let me use their radio and activate the park with me. So I basically just sent out a bunch of emails and said, hey, I'm in town. I need a radio. This park is here. What's going on? So John, KC7JPC, emailed me back like within 5 minutes and said, yeah, I'm like 10 minutes away. What do you want to do? And I said, oh my God, you got to be kidding me. I want to activate the Centennial Trail Park. And then he thought it was way up here where the pin was at. So I had to explain to him that it actually runs in front of the river. So after we figured out that we could activate the trail pretty close, we came down here to this community college of Spokane, and we actually activated, let's see if we can find the picnic bench. There's a picnic bench. Let's see. Now there's a picnic bench right here. And that's where we activated from, the Centennial Trail, literally 2 feet from it. So, Scout says, did you then email Shaq and Greg on how to POTA after 7 beers? No, I did not. I should have, though. I hear that Shaq and Greg gets a little bit more easier to work after he's got 7 beers. Adam says, step 1, have a few more beers. Yeah. Well, at that point, whenever he clued me in that I could actually, or the trail came right down in front of my hotel, because I literally stayed, like, well, first, I stayed here for a couple of nights, the Centennial Bar, or the Centennial Hotel, right here. And then I moved hotels because that one was too expensive. So this one was on my own dime. So I came over here to the Ruby River Hotel, and this is part of the Centennial Trail too, but I kind of figured, well, this one looks like it's more proper. So we came down here to activate it. So here I am, number 2, activated at 8/8 and got my 11 contacts in. Couple of park to parks. I think 45 auto, didn't I work you? I think I worked 45 auto. Anyway, I got my Washington in. Here's my, let's see, let's go to the stats here. Where's my stats? Oh, I got to sign in. I'm not signed in. Hang on. All right, so now let's go to my awards. And here we go. Got Washington in the books. So, anyway, and I'm still working for Hawaii, looking for Hawaii. Hawaii, I need you. I need you, Hawaii. So anyway, that was the weekend. Glad that I got the park activated. Had a good time. Let's see what else. Yeah. So that's my story. What else? I gotta figure out what is Scout 75. He's got a video after me, and actually, what we're gonna do here is we're gonna take his link and copy that, and we're gonna put it in the chat a couple of times. So that is the link to Scout's video after mine starts in 10 minutes. So just I kind of figure I'd hang out for you guys for another 10 minutes and see what's going on. Anybody got a topic that they want to talk about? Everyone can take a look at my stats here. I don't think there's anything that is too exciting here. Scout says, now I wish I had premiered a better video. But you know what? It's like antennas. The best video that you've got is the video that you're premiering now, right? The best antenna is the best antenna that you got. Oh, hang on. Let me show some. I didn't show the actual activation here. So I was working 705. Let me. So there I was on 20 meters. We activated on 20 meters first. The bands were in crap shape. I mean, so granted, because the band characteristics say the band are closed for every single band doesn't mean that you can't call CQ. But whenever we brought up the band conditions, we noticed that every single one of them. Look at my dog, Pixie. She's sprawled out. Yeah, the band conditions were horrible. So we decided it was gray line time. So maybe I could get a little bit of DX. Maybe I could, work across the United States on 20 meters. So we started out on 20, and I think I had, I don't know, 4 contacts, 5 contacts on 20 meters. It was horrible. Like, absolutely horrible. So then I decided, you know what, this isn't working. Let me see if I can grab 40 meters, and I don't know if I didn't have any video of me on 40 meters, but we changed the configuration. We worked the park on a buddy stick, a regular buddy stick, but in the vertical configuration, not like in the L or the dipole. It was just a vertical. And we were running 40 or so odd watts, and then towards the end of the activation, we bumped it up to 100 for the last 4 or 5 contacts because we just weren't getting out. Like, I think the activation took me about an hour to make 11 contacts. It was pretty rough. So, but I'm glad that John brought his radio out. He was very gracious on bringing me his radio so I could activate. And then, word to the wise. Bring an HF radio everywhere you go. I should have brought my mountain topper. Or I could have activated the Centennial Trail if I knew, probably every single day. Probably Saturday, Sunday. Well, I flew back on Monday. But, I should have brought a radio. It's dumb. So, yes, John is a hero. That's awesome. That's right. Let me highlight that. So, I learned my lesson. Also, I learned my lesson on Parks on the Air and researching parks is just because the pin is in one location doesn't mean that you can't activate other locations. I mean, I should have known that because the Lewis and Clark Trail run right through Missouri, and there's a million places to activate. And there's other places along the river, like wildlife areas, that are along the river also, that are twofers that you don't know about until you actually start researching this POTA stuff and saying, oh, yeah, these twofers or these trails kind of go everywhere. I'm going to go over just west of Columbia, Missouri for a threefer. It's the Santa Fe Trail, the Lewis and Clark Trail, and the Katy Trail all intersect in a place called Boonville, Missouri. So I'm going to go over there and do a threefer and do a bunch of other ones on my way back. So I think that's going to be in September. I think it's like 15 parks that I'm going to hit in one road trip. So, and also I'm going to hit Kentucky, Tennessee on my way down to Huntsville, and then hopefully do a trip out to Colorado and do some SOTA and POTA together. So maybe I'll even make my way to Utah and knock Utah and Colorado and Kansas off of my list. So, but yeah, that was the weekend. What else? I had something else that I was going to talk about. I totally forgot. Spokane has got, let's talk about Spokane breweries here. So, close this off. Bars and pubs. Let's go to the non-satellite here. Yeah, so come across this bridge here. So I was staying at the Centennial, came across this bridge. This is where the park was and the falls. And come across here, and there's just a plethora of bars and restaurants and whatnot. So I went to this Twigs, went here, went to the Flat Stick Pub. That was an interesting place. Had like indoor mini golf. So it was Sunday was Kids Day, I think. Went to the Steelhead, Went to Dory's. Let's see, where else I went. I went to Jimmy Z's. That was a cool place. And Lord Stanley's. They had a hockey theme. So those are the places that I went and just kind of drank. With food. I had to get some food in me. So I ate almost something at every single location. I was a little bloated. A lot of beer and a lot of appetizers. So anyway. Well, that is about it. Just wanted to recap. Oh, and I won something. Let's see. I won. They gave away a 705 in this big backpack and a tuner. So my kids beat at miniature golf. You know what? I used to golf in high school. I haven't been golfing in a long time, but my short game is pretty good. My long game is not very good. So yeah, they gave away a 705 and a stepper IR, well, a control unit for a stepper IR, and a bunch of antenna tuners, a, what is that thing called? A Rig Expert, Stream Deck, some other things. I won a book. There's Ward's book from Ham Radio for Dummies, and then also I think Grounding and Bonding, yep. And I won a book. It's How to Chase DX. It was great. And it was autographed by some dude. I don't know who it was. K4IA, K4AI, maybe. So I won that book as a door prize. And yeah, let's see what else. So from what I understand, the conference, it rotates. I think next year it's going to be in British Columbia in Vancouver. And then I think it rotates to Seattle. And then it goes to Portland, Oregon, and then it comes back over to Spokane. So, yeah. That is it. Yeah, if you want to know more about the Pacific Northwest Convention, just Google it. It's a good time. Every region has got a DX convention. The WDX9, or the one that I go to is the one in Chicago, and I think it's the last week in September, from what I can remember. So, yeah. I don't think I say that. I think WDX, or W0 DXCC, or the DXCC for the Zero Land, I don't think that they have one. I think most of the people go to the Nine Land in Chicago every year. That draws like 500 or 600 people. Pretty big. So, anyway, it's 6:44. Everyone go over and see. I'll put the YouTube stream in the chat there. Go over and take a look at Scout 75's video. Welcome to Tim's Hill. What is that? Soda. Going to do a soda. Do a premiere. So, oh, I better stop that or I'm going to get a copyright strike. All right. See you guys later. It's starting. 73. And now I got to figure out how to end this. Later, guys.